Hello guys, good day, how are you? Thanks for the subscribe so far. Today we go into functions, methods in Python. Here we are going to look at the inbuilt and custom functions. We're going to also look at function parameters and arguments. Also going to look at return values, Lambda functions or anonymous functions. Also going to look at the scope and lifetimes of variables in Python. Now let's dive in and let's look at function. Function is a block of organized usable code that performs single-related actions. That is, it's a block of code that is self-contained that can be used on its own to carry out a certain task. Function can create more organized and efficient code. It enables our code to be more modular and well structured. We have inbuilt functions. Also, we have custom functions. The inbuilt functions are example of it are the one that came with all the libraries our interpreter. For example, print is an inbuilt function. The range that we have seen in our previous examples is an inbuilt function, right? And so they take in some parameters. We also see for loop. It takes in some parameter. Why? It takes in some functions. They are inbuilt functions. Like also map, vectors, they are also inbuilt functions. They are enclosed in parentheses as you see in this way. They are enclosed in parentheses and closed in parentheses. These functions provide powerful tools to perform common tasks efficiently. You can even sum a number by passing a list of arrays of number into it. So, and you can see example are length, range, sum, print, int, sorted, mass. So we also inbuilt the functions. Example of it you see here, rand. Rand will hand off this from a to two decimal places. We take in 3.142.159 into two decimal places. This is an inbuilt function. Rand is an inbuilt function. We also output 3.14, and this is the. Then we can also have user-defined functions, which is another one. User-defined function is a block that you create yourself for a specific task. It's essentially a reusable piece of code that you can call multiple times within your programs. The user-defined functions is what you create yourself. If it is not part of the inbuilt function, you can also you call them the same way you call the inbuilt functions, but with different parameters and arguments. Then we see some benefit of the inbuilt functions. The functions are powerful features that enable you to create reusable, modular, and maintainable code. How do we define our own user-defined functions? You can see them here by looking at this. Dev, the dev keyword means that, you are trying to create a custom functions. The keyword to define functions, the function name, also see are the parameters. Sometimes it may be, this can be optional, or you also need to pass some things there. Now let's look at the body and the return value. These are examples of a function here. This function here, this is the function, this is the keyword dev. This is what? This is the name of the function. This function name is dynamic, depending on the name you give to it. That's, for example, that of rand that we saw on the. So we can also name it as rand, but we tell you that's what a function is already bearing this. We have to rename it to something else. Maybe we want another function similar to that, but in a different way. Also create our own functions to do that. These are parameters here. You might decide to put something inside the parameter here or not. Here is the body. Here is the body of the functions. This is our code, where our code will reside in. This is where we want our code to be executed. Then we also have a form. This one has a return type. I see the dev and function name parameter. This one has return type. This one does not have return type. I see. Sometimes you can have return here and without specifying the return type here. What return here must be the same thing. For example, here, if this one if the function here return integer, that means you are returning integer here. If you are returning string, that means your string data type will be here. So now let's look at parameters and arguments in Python. Parameters and arguments so often used by some people to confusingly. When you define a function and you specify the number of parameters there, it's called a parameter here. By the time you are not invoking that function, you are calling that functions. The value you pass into those functions is being called what? Is called the argument. It's called argument. On the point of definition of a functions, you supply a call parameter and not argument. By the time you invoke or you call the functions, then you have what? You have we are giving an argument by supplying the value. For example, let's look here. Here we have a name here. This is a function. We define a function great. It's taking a name and also age, depending on what you name. It doesn't mean that it's actually two. It can be three, can be thousand of anything. Or you have to be precise in what you are doing. Also here we supply here hello, so and so, and you, because here this one is age. This one age is supposed to be in integer form. That is why we are converting them to string. We cannot add integer plus string, but here we have to convert the age to string years old. This one does not return anything. It will just print hello. If we use Kemi, for example, say hello Kemi, how are you? How you are maybe 13 years old. Then we also have dynamic parameter type here. You can also make it dynamic. This one is dynamic, this is static here. For example, can you see the way I just tell the user, oh, the user is expecting string here. You make it a static form. Though Python is a dynamic programming language, but you can also make it what? A static type by specifying the int just the way Java and C++ and other code does. And now we also move to function parameters to just to continue. Here we define the function here. Then we are calling it here now. We call the name Sam here. We call it here with a positional argument. We're going to discuss more positional argument build. We have the lecture. We have what? Great Sam 20. You remember string came first, 20 came last. And you see, string came first, 20 came last. But if you want to use a keyword argument, you want to use a keyword argument, but you want to specify the name. This age is coming from from what you define here. And so you don't need to specify, you're going to give it age or give another name yourself. No, it is coming from what you have defined there before. You are using because you are using a keyword. You don't want to use a positional the way you have defined. You want to use the way you define the functions. So that means you have to follow just positional the way this one appears as number one, this one appears as number two, age appears as number two. But here you want to use a keyword. You can rearrange them the way you like. So that using keyword, but you have to specify the keyword. I'm giving A to be this, so that there will not be wrong displacement of data type. Now we have types of parameter and argument. We have positional argument. We will define a function this way, and we return the value. Then we have 5 and 6 here. This just positional argument. That means S is taking the value of 5 by default, and Y is taking the value of 9. Then you store them here and print the result here. Not that 9, but if you want 9 to come first, that means you define this one here. It doesn't matter how the arrangement as well, but you have to use keyword argument. So keyword arguments, let's see keyword parameter and argument here. You can see that in keyword, you can read this thing in documentation yourself. You can see that in keyword argument, we have, for example, we have vehicle type here and the model, right? Now, we specify the model here and the SUV. So SUV here, and see under CRV here and the vehicle type equal to here. You specify the keyword just we have seen above. Also have default parameters. Sometimes you may also need third parameter, let's say constant default functions by maybe default values. You need to specify. But in case you also specify something need to come above. Just need to. You can also make something default. It can be anything. For example, when you have a third value, if maybe you want to pay a salary and you salary the user, and you have a constant, maybe somebody is, you have a default increment value for them. You don't need to do that, add it to it again. You can make it as optional, but it's already given a value. Or if you want to override them, so you can also specify. You can specify the value to third one, depending on what you are doing. Then we have let's see variable length parameter list as well. This variable list, instead of us declaring number of, maybe we want to have a list of items. You want to supply close to like 100, 200 parameters. Our code will just be too messy. But we have to what? You can just specify them through the use of what? List. You see something like this, asterisk numbers as parameters. And this is a list. Understand? It's taking a list. You can take what? A list of what? Of numbers. Understand? But and you what? Sum them. It will sum all this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we supply the argument. We supply what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something here. And here we now print the result out. So, and then you see the keyword argument as well. You see something, maybe asterisk. Asterisk means it's a what? It's a like dictionary type. Like the way, for example, here we declare a dictionary here. I'm going to talk about these data structures in next in the oncoming videos. And let's see, first name is what? First is first. Taking the first here. The last word is last here. Or maybe you still have other information that you want to provide, but based on developer discretion. Then the user can later update it later on. That means you have to have the user will supply a keyword argument like this. This is the key, this is the value. Can specify its own default key, then and the value. Then you now update. We update this profile here. So we use our profile here. Okay, so this is the user profile here. We now update this profile. Here is the profile here. We update this profile here with the value of this dictionary value supplied. So then we have type of parameter. Okay, sequence. Okay. Then we now build. You can see, for example, we work it, build profile, about person, location. Remember, we don't put this is the first name, this is the second name. We don't put location there before. Now we now give location equal to this. Of which location there is no location here, so we supply it by ourselves. Then let's look at return values. Function can return values to the caller using the return statement. We've seen above there. We return value in the functions. For example, we have a function called add. This one return a plus b. Then we supply this. 7 plus 4 is 11. That means it return this. That means it return the value. It returning addition of two numbers. And the addition of two numbers is what is integer. So it return the value here. It return the value here. So, but remember, the value here is not specified. Well, this is dynamic in nature. This can be floating point variable or decimal number variable. And we still had it. That means our return value will be decimal by default. That means now function can return multiple value as well. Instead of us returning only one, this one statement here, one expression here, a plus b. So, but it can also return multiple values here. For example, here. So its name age here. This return the name, return the age here. And we are using different to take into the user details, and we return it here. We now call it here. We can now specify them here. Name first, age first, get info, get the user details. Now we can also specify them individually as well. Also print them. You can see this placeholder format. If you want to use this kind of thing, you have to be using Python 3.6 and above to put this type of format here. Now, if you want to use, for example, if you want to call them one by one, you can also do it this way using indexing method. This function indexing method. Function can also return complex data structure like list, dictionaries. You can also make our function here. This is just optional. You can try to put it there. This is just optional here. So you can also, but by default, you return a list of items here. So that means we're also going to call it as a list. I'm going to invoke it as a list because it's returning a list. Understand? So this value, this is the list here. This list here is stored here already. And print out the list here, we get this. Then the same thing also return dictionary. We're going to talk more on data structure in the future videos. So then don't worry about all these things. This is in the 0, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So start from indexing from 0. Add the indexing from 0. Then therefore, a function can also return different value based on conditions. Also return values, and moreover, sometimes here return multiple value here. This one is string. Different, you can see it's not the same type. It's of tuple. This one is returning tuple here. If you check it, it's going to be tuple of cannot be modified. So tuple cannot be modified like immutable cannot be modified. So this is the name. This one is string. This one is integer. Now let's go ahead. Now we can also return based on condition. We check if this value is, it will just return from here and tell the user, oh, cannot divide by 0. It will just stop there. It will not execute this one based on this condition as well. You can see a sample will pass it here. So now, just please and fast because of time. And also have a word. Let's see. You can go through this example and write the code yourself. We're passing a sentence here, and you go to split. Let me explain it here. We define a function called analyze simple text. We're passing a text. It will be a long text, a sentence. Now we find the length of that text. We split them by space. We don't specify anything how to split it. That means the default here is by what? Through space. That means the space you have in what? You have space here. You split it. You split everything according to space. The same, can you see space here? So if you don't, assuming it is comma, then you have to put comma here in quotes. Then now what? You can define the length of the text. Find the length of the text, and then you find the average by the car count what slash divided by word count. Can you see? Character count here. This one will count all the character. This one will divide it by this. So we want to find the average. If word count is greater than this, then you can return this. So you can just go through them. It's returning word count. It's returning multiple value at the time. Then we'll print them out as well. Then let's look at effective use of it. Okay. Now let's come to Lambda functions. Lambda functions are anonymous functions, like inbuilt functions, like a single line functions that doesn't take name. Anonymous means what? Doesn't take names. Unlike regular functions that define with def. So functions are not given a name, are used in place where function is required for a short durations. I see. So this is the syntax. This is the Lambda keyword there. This is the arguments, and this is what this argument here we pass in parameter here, what supply here. The expressions, what to execute here. Then see it here. Keyword to define the Lambda functions. Argument, parameter accepted by the functions. So we pass in some argument here. And expression, the operation to be performed. The operation to be performed will be here. So for example, let's add this value. We pass in what? S and Y. Understand? We pass an S and Y parameter here into the function here, and S plus Y. We now add the two S plus Y here as parameter. So this should be parameter, not argument. Okay. So this is the parameter here. This one is the word execution. This is parameter, and this is the code that should be run, that should execute expression. Then we pass in the two parameters here. Then we add the two parameters together. Then we add them. We give it an argument 6 and 4. We supply just the way we declare our normal functions, our full functions. Then Lambda, we now, for example, now let's carry out sometimes. Also use it with higher order functions like filter, map, sum, sorted, whatsoever. All those inbuilt functions to help us in some kind of mathematical operations or computations. Now we take a list. Let's use it with filter. Let's just pass in a function here. So for declaring a custom function, let's just use a Lambda functions. Whether Lambda functions, custom functions, or if all of them have their own usage and they can be used together. You can also apply Lambda functions in a custom functions. You can also apply Lambda functions to an inbuilt functions. This is an inbuilt function that came with this filter. You now apply function here to check, to filter out only numbers that is what? That is even numbers. How do we know that a number is even number? If you find the modulus s divided by 2, if s divided by 2 remainder 0, that's what here is saying. That is s modulus 2. Here means what? Is finding for remainder. The percentage here means what? Is looking for remainder. S modulus 2 equal to 0. Then we now pass in the what? Then we pass the number. Also the numbers here. Remember this is the number. This is another Lambda function here that start here and ends here. Now pass the list inside the same filter functions. Then we now list, because we list some list of numbers, and those numbers are not in a list. You have to convert them to a list by using list list functions, inbuilt list functions. You can see they are best used for short and simple operations. Let's look at scope as well, the final mode. Yeah. Scope of a variable that it be within a block. That means in the region, the region where that variable can be used. It cannot go out of that place. Once it goes out of that place, it will be destroyed. It will not be recognized. So that's the scope. We have local scope. We also have global scope. The local scope is defined within a functions. It's defined within a what? A block. It can be within inside the for loop block, or inside the function block, or inside the class block. So that means as long as that class still exists, it's still working. So the function can still be seen, can still be recognized. So now we also have a global scope here. So we define global. So that's global means it runs until the end of the termination of that program. You can see it here. For example, we have a global variables, and you can see assign global variable here. Unlike this one here, s. Can you see? Yes. Can you see? We try to access s here. We print s here, right? But we try now to, if we try to access this s outside, so this should become print s. Okay, for example, see this now. Print s. This would cause an error as s is not defined outside the function. We comment this one out to avoid error. So if we don't want to print s here, we will comment this statement here. There will be an error because it's not accessing. We cannot access s inside this function outside. And you see, even their block indentation is different. But like this, can you see this global function here? We have a global variable 20. We can call it inside the functions. We can even call it out. We can call it outside also the function. So that is the same block. So lifetime. The lifetime of a variable refers to the period during which the variable exists in the memory. I've seen the local variables and other things here. We'll discuss more on this in the functions. Sometimes you can also modify, but it's not encouraged. You can access a global variable within a function, but modifying it directly is generally discouraged. To modify a global variable, you can within a function and use the global keyword. Can you see here? Use a global keyword there in case you want to change the value of this to what? To this value to 32. I want to update this with the value. We use global variable to do that. Thank you very much. I hope the lecture is to okay to beat. And please like, share, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. God bless you.